What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Boy, it's been a long time coming, this sequel, all of a couple of years since the last movie. I guess that's a long time for Hollywood standards. The question is they did they stop to think about whether they should? They knew they could, but did they stop to think about whether they should? We're going to give you our thoughts on that right now. Obviously, Jurassic World Rebirth is the movie we're doing tonight with, of course, the only people here that I could possibly do all my great reviews with. Starting with my hero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother? Jeremy, you're muted.
Fucking God, I gotta do everything my fucking self. Well, that's all you get out of me then. If you didn't hear it, then that's too bad.
And of course, the shape for Lone Star State, my man Tex. What's up, brother?
You know, if I ever build like $1 billion facility, I'm gonna make for damn sure candy wrappers can't undo the whole fucking thing. Like, come on now, that was definitely a decision, but we'll get to that later. What's going on, everybody? Hope y'all are
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the creative things they did in the movie, but I mean, we couldn't possibly do any review about any dinosaur anything without having the man who has had a brontosaurus-sized hard-on since he heard this movie announced. That is the Broody Gamer. What's up, brother?
How you doing?
Yeah, he doesn't like dinosaurs or anything. I mean, can you guys see this stuff behind him? Yeah, he's not really into dinosaurs. It's just like
put me right on the main screen.
It's just a hobby. It's just a hobby, something he does for fun. But
yeah, phase, Mom.
Yeah, but yeah, who else can I possibly have around except for this group of clowns to talk about this movie? And of course, we are here to talk about this movie, Jurassic World Rebirth. It is the 2025 American science fiction thriller film directed by Gareth Edwards and written by David Koepp, a standalone sequel to Jurassic World Dominion, which came out in 2022. It is the fourth Jurassic World film and the seventh installment overall in the Jurassic Park franchise. The film stars Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey, Rupert Friend, Manuel Garcia-Rulfo, and Ed Skrein for all of 3.5 seconds he was on screen, but I'll complain about that later on. Jurassic World Rebirth premiered on June 17th, 2025 at Odeon Luke's Leicester Square in London and was released in the United States and Canada by Universal on July 2nd of this year. The film receives mixed reviews from critics, with some deeming it an improvement over previous entries. As of Sunday, the film has made $318 million over the 5-day Independence Day weekend. This against a budget of $180 million, making it the 10th highest grossing film of 2025 so far. On Rotten Tomatoes, 52% of 263 critics' reviews are positive. The website's consensus review reads, quote, "Going back to basics with rip-roaring set pieces and fossilized cliches, Jurassic World Rebirth doesn't evolve this prehistoric franchise, but does restore some of its most reliable DNA." And I think that's probably about the fairest review that you can give it for a lot of reasons. But I'll go to you first, Tex. Give me your quick thoughts before we dive into the spoiler stuff.
Yeah. I saw this on July the 2nd. I enjoyed myself with the first viewing. It was it's a spectacle event anytime you get one of these tentpole franchises. It's July, July the 4th. You're in the holiday season. I got my popcorn bucket, my gigantic ass dinosaur foot that's going to hang on my wall now, so that's fun. But the second time I saw this one, some things became clear to me. I like this film. It's got a lot of good things to it. I mean, Scarlett Johansson in a sweaty tank top, you have my money. But yeah, I have some thoughts, and I'm glad that we finally I can get this out of my brain, because this one is definitely a tale of two films, I think.
Jeremy, how about you? Give me your thoughts on Jurassic World.
I don't really understand the subtitle because I don't know what we're rebirthing. Because
that's a good point, actually. I didn't think about that.
I tried to think about that, and I have no idea what that was really trying to convey. I'm glad I'm not the only person on the internet who also thinks that was the most video game fucking plot I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, mercenary hired to go get 3. We had to go get 3 of something, and 3 from the biggest, land, air, and sea dinosaurs possible. Mission complete, money in the bank. But when you have morals, I mean, money doesn't really matter. It didn't really have a lot of the stuff I thought we were going to do, like some of these weird, like mutated dinosaurs. I know you want to save your big freak show for the end, but I mean, you gave them about 5 minutes of screen time, then you just fucked off. And yeah, I thought you killed Blade, and then you didn't, and I was like, oh, well, thanks for that. See you next time.
There's only one.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a good movie. It was a little more return to form. We don't, we got one of like 70 different islands we can pick from to do something that someone's never heard of the entire time. But the longer you do that, the more ridiculous it gets that there's always something that no one ever heard of for some reason. So I don't know. But yay, dinosaurs, snap, eating people and shit.
I know, Brooding Gamer, you are to dinosaurs what Texas to horror. Everything is good. So give me your quick thoughts, and then we'll start breaking this thing down.
I went into it a little nervous. Can't lie. I was afraid it was going to get the Dominion treatment, where it was just kind of like shove references down your throat as much as humanly possible. But it felt like, I think it was like a breath of fresh air to be able to go back to an island instead of, like stepping out on your porch and, having to, deal with a velociraptor in your front yard or some shit. But it was nice to be able to go back to an island, be able to kind of like go back to where things kind of began. It definitely felt kind of like, a Jurassic Park 3 Part 2 in a way. I think they, like with the Spinosaurus, they probably felt bad that people were wanting that backstory. They're like, here, stop bitching. Here's 5 of them. Now, just, but I'm with Jeremy on it. I'm not 100% what Rebirth was meant to be, unless it was like, going back to the way things were supposed to be in a way. But I don't know. I still think they should have called this Jurassic Park Rebirth or Jurassic Park Reborn or something. Go back to the park title. But because it's not really the world much anymore, it's more or less just like certain spots. But yeah, I've got a few nitpicks myself, but I'll wait till we get to that point. But it was a good film. I left happy.
Yeah, I left the theater thinking that instead of calling this Jurassic World Rebirth, they should just call it Jurassic World Again. I feel like we've literally done this entire movie before. Ultimately I like the movie as much as I'm going to bitch about some little things. I did enjoy myself watching the film. It's good to be in this world. If you can give me a cool visual of this world, let me see some dinosaurs. Let me see the T-Rex. Let me see some cool deaths. Let me see some action adventure. Give me a couple of characters I could jive with, and that's really all you need to satisfy me. And for the most part, it did that. But I left here thinking, I walked into the theater thinking, what are they going to do that's new? I mean, because when you started the Jurassic World part of the franchise, come to find out that they've actually made the thing work. That everything that Hammond was trying to do in the beginning, they actually got it to work. It's like, so how do we exist in this world now where Jurassic Park has worked, where we've figured it out? So that was kind of a fun way to kind of start that part of the franchise. But this one, I was like, what are they going to do that's new? It's like we had Jurassic Park fall apart because of Nedry and his stuff. We had Jurassic World actually put the whole thing together, and then shit goes to pieces because some other asshole. And then now it's like, what do we have? It's like, where are the dinosaurs? How does the world in the modern world, the dinosaurs exist? And it's basically, it was very blah. It was a very uninteresting explanation as to where we are right now. And even the plot that drives the characters and stuff wasn't the kind of thing that interested me. I mean, pharmaceutical company after money. Okay, I haven't seen 3,000 movies in the last 6 months that have given me that basic storyline. I mean, yeah, not dinosaurs aren't involved in all of them, of course, but it's like, this doesn't really do anything for Jurassic World or for the Jurassic franchise. But there was a lot to like in this. There was a lot of really cool visual cues, and I just kind of was like, "Oh yeah, that takes me back to the original." There was a lot of fun. There were some things that were silly, but let's go ahead and get into this breakdown now, and let's start with the works of Gareth Edwards. And I clicked the wrong button. Hold on one second. Let's talk about the works of Gareth Edwards. He's not done a whole lot, but he's done some movies that are actually pretty big. Getting into just the movies he's done, he did the Godzilla movie in 2014, pretty good. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which I thought was no need for that movie. It ended up being really, really good. It's one of my favorite recent Star Wars movies. He did this movie, The Creator, which I've heard a lot of good things about, but I haven't got a chance to watch it. And then, of course, he did this film, Jurassic Park Rebirth. I'll go to you first, Tex. Give me your thoughts on Gareth Edwards, him as a director, and the job he did with this film.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Gareth Edwards. I'd say my favorite stuff of his has got to be the MonsterVerse stuff, the Godzilla Kong movies that we've gotten in the last 11 years or so. I love the monster movies. That's no secret, but I like how the kind of each film has almost had like kind of a different approach where it's like Godzilla and then Godzilla King of the Monsters, they were more horror, whereas like Godzilla X Kong and all, those movies were action-y Avenger type films. So I like his effect on those. I haven't seen The Creator, but for a guy who hasn't had a lot of movies, he's had a lot of franchises. Like he knows somebody, or he's got, blackmail on somebody high up enough. He's getting all the big work. And like with this film, story-wise, yes, I've got some pretty blatant problems with it. But this film looks great. I mean, if you're just watching it from a visual perspective, couple dodgy CGI things here and there, but overall, I thought it looked really good. And, story-wise, we'll get into, but I'm a fan of Gareth Edwards. I like a lot of the stuff that he's done, and I was honestly excited when I heard he was going to get to do the Jurassic franchise. And, it definitely needs if there's another one, which with the money they've made, I'm pretty sure they're going to make another one. I can see them. But, yeah, I'm a fan of Gareth Edwards. I like what he did, previous work. And I'd say this one's passable, but barely. But, we'll get into that more as we go. So, yeah, he ain't too bad.
I don't know. Jeremy, how about you? What do you think about Gareth Edwards' work in this film and kind of his work in general? And again, not a very long resume, but he's got a couple of big ones in there.
I mean, yeah, he's got this movie. And Rogue One, Rogue One's actually a good movie. Like, in terms of the spin-offs, I don't mind that movie at all. But I'm trying to look, and I don't really care to dive that deep, but Star Wars The Last Jedi comes up. I know he wasn't the director, but he was something to do with it, so you lose points for that one. But
he just had a cameo. Don't blame the whole thing on him.
I would have my name removed from that on any level. But that's just me.
No, but yeah. I mean, it's not like this. Like I said, this wasn't a movie that it didn't like look bad or anything. It had, like I said, it just kind of had two different plots going on that I think could have worked. We've had movies that have an A plot and B plot, but I feel like they didn't know what they were doing because they just all conveniently happened to just be at the helicopter pad at the same damn time, which was really convenient considering the fact that the family doesn't know that there's a helicopter coming. So
how do we know that? If they even found this place 2 seconds later, they pop up. Just great time.
Yeah, like they just happened to be there. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like maybe the family was like for the, we got to have like some family that's like just, normal people that we're supposed to care about. Kind of like it reminded me of like the random Russian family that was thrown in for some reason in Justice League. I'm like, oh, right. Out of the entirety of like Russia, I'm supposed to care about this one family for some reason because there's kids. And then we have to do the obvious marketing thing of like,
by the way. You ruined it.
Oh look, there's a really tiny dinosaur that's cute and stuff who also just happens to just keep MacGuffing itself into like every scene because like somehow this little Triceratops finds them every single time. I'm like, okay. I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't a bad movie. I just was kind of like, I think there's two things going on here, and I think maybe they should just maybe stuck with one, and it would have been pretty interesting. I don't know.
I don't know. Broody Gamer, what do you think about Gareth Edwards' job in this film and kind of his career overall?
I think he did pretty good. when I found out, or when I completely forgot that he had done Godzilla before that, but when I saw the trailers and everything, and they kind of showed off like the Distortus Rex, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely a Godzilla monster right there. Um, I mean, even the naming of the one of the mutant that's called a Mutodon was pretty much just the Muto. I'm like, oh okay, so and a lot of the same like sound. I don't want to say sound effects, but like they made some of the they made the D-Rex sound more like something that you would hear out of a Godzilla movie, like a kaiju. So I mean, he did a really good job with this. I was very very pleased because I love the MonsterVerse films. So I mean, it was good to see something like this. You know, they weren't all. I don't know. I don't. They weren't like your typical like all the other dinosaurs we've gotten, where it's just like let's see how like big and scary we can make them, and add a bunch of spikes and make them breathe fire occasionally. But you know, it was good to see them just like bring animals, make them into what they're supposed to be, which is just animals, and he did a good job depicting that. I love his other films, so I mean, I'm was happy to see him do this.
Yeah, I was like I said, Gareth Edwards. Not a long resume, but not some bad things on here. I really liked that 2014 Godzilla. I thought it was a pretty good start to what they were at the time said they were trying to do. I don't particularly enjoy the fact that he tore up San Francisco, one of my favorite towns in the world. But hey, it can't always be New York or LA. Every now and again, San Francisco's going to take one for the team. Like I said, the one that stands out to me though in his past is Rogue One. That was a movie that I never like some of the like Rogue One and Solo and all the spin-off stuff I've never really been interested in. I really just want to see the Skywalker lineage. That's all I really want to see. But Rogue One was quite good. And it led to us getting Andor, which is apparently a fantastic show. I haven't actually seen any episodes of Andor. I watched the first episode of the first season. They got pulled away and never went back. But a lot of people I know who are real deep Star Wars fans have said that series is one of the best series they've done, other than maybe Mandalorian. A lot of people say it's even better. Again, the creator is one that I've heard a lot of good things about. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. As far as this movie is concerned, I mean, he didn't write it. So I'm not going to, I can't really blame him for some of the story elements. The direction I think is good. I think that at this point, if you try to direct a Jurassic movie, that or any movie in this franchise, you're going to be held to a certain standard because the first Jurassic Park film is epic. It's fantastic. It's one of the top 100 films ever made. If you ask most people, it's so good that it's really hard to follow that up. I mean, even Steven Spielberg hasn't really tried to follow it up yet, and he's Steven Spielberg. But you know, he does a very good job, kind of bringing us back into the world and making us want to be here again. But I mean, there is only so much you can work with, especially in the story. I wasn't fond of a few story elements. That's more of a writing thing rather than his. I thought he did a good job with this movie. Again, it was one of the things you had to do is you have to follow up the greatness that was the first three movies. Well, the first two anyway. And then the Jurassic World movies, the first trilogy, the ones with, all the other people, they were good, but they weren't the same. But you had to kind of bring all that stuff back together again in a way that was a little new, a little fresh. And for his part, I think he did a good job. My problem is, of course, what we'll talk about next, and that's well, no, not next. That's the plot. We'll talk about the cast next. I'll go to you first, Brooding Gamer. What do you think of the cast of the show? Did it work out well for you, and who stood out the most?
It did work out for me when I walked out of the theater and I did my my little out of the theater review. The one thing I compared this to was Twister, and the sheer fact that Jeremy and I talk about this all the time, that Twister is such an enjoyable film because you feel like the cast is, I don't know, these people have history and they feel like one giant family, and there is an absolute massive amount of connection there. And while we don't know what their history is necessarily, they do kind of spill it out for us throughout the film. But you can tell that Duncan and Zora they're close, and every person that Duncan loses is an actual impact on, like the guy you have on screen to the right, the guy with the beard. I liked him. He was kind of funny when he was ever on screen, and I actually was pretty pissed off to see him go. I think he didn't deserve to go out. Guy on the left, however, he can suck a knob. But I didn't feel like anybody in this film was a bad. Well, apart from the boyfriend, I don't care. He did not deserve. There were so many times that I'm like, before when I first saw it, I'm like, we're in a monster movie, and if anybody's gonna get eaten, it's this son of a bitch. But that kid just kept avoiding everything. And but I mean, one actor that stood out to me is definitely gonna be Loomis. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, his actual name.
That's Ben. What was his name? Ben. I just read his name. Oh, Jonathan Bailey. Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah, is he? It just watching him. I don't know what it was about his character. I was expecting to not like him that much, and to kind of be like, oh, Scarlett Johansson's gonna be my favorite, or maybe even Duncan, which Duncan was. I can never say his name. Ali, but he's such a great actor anyway. I was like, those were the two characters that I focused on the most. But just seeing him, his character was, I liked how he kind of had a little bit of growth throughout the film. Like he was like, he had a job to do, but he got there and he's like, wait a minute, why don't we? He had a little bit of character growth, not as much. I mean, he already was kind of like the angel on your shoulder anyway. But I kind of agree. Once I got to know him a little bit more, he was kind of like that one guy. It's like, you get out there, you're surrounded by all these people who know what the hell they're doing, and you're just trying to like kind of be the tough guy, like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing, and her be like, all right, let me show you exactly what you're doing, and then him be like, nah, okay, you're right. But he just felt like, that he felt like kind of all of us to me, where it's like, you want to be the Billy Badass in the big group of guys, but then when you try, you're kind of just like reminded of your place, if that makes sense. But I really liked his character. I definitely focused a lot more on him, and not just because he trained under Dr. Grant, but
I don't know. Tex, how about you? What did you think of the cast of the film? Who stood out to you the most?
Well, I gotta go with Mahershala Ali. Obviously this film pays homage very heavily to Jaws, especially in the first part of this film. And Mahershala Ali, he very much felt like Quint's type character. The very charismatic, he had an interesting look to himself. He brought a real presence to the film. Whenever Mahershala Ali was on screen, I wanted more from the guy. But once we get into action, he's reserved into, I'll save you, and then Scarlett Johansson gets all of the hero moments. And I know, she's the bigger star, yada yada, whatever. But I really think that this film suffers for it because, like I said, him being kind of the Quint of this cast, it's just like I said in the out of the screen reaction that I did for this channel was the dude's got character, he's got personality. Whenever he's on the screen, you want to see more of him. He does well in what he's given. And we just not, we didn't get enough of him. He's, either he's kind of reserved to driving the boat or, don't charge the guy with the gun, give him more of the action hero stuff in this movie. Whereas so much of it went to ScarJo, which, my God, she looked amazing in this film. She did great as well, but, I needed more Mahershala Ali here. Why we haven't gotten him as Blade, I don't know yet, but the dude's talented. We need to see more of him.
How about you, Jeremy? What do you think of the cast of the film, and who stood out to you the most? Did I ask you already? Writing notes.
Obviously, I like Mahershala Ali's character. I kind of thought maybe he'd have a little bit more to do because he kind of got set up as a really cool character, and like Brady said, you can tell him and Scarlett Johansson's character has some history. They've probably pulled some jobs together or whatever. I'm assuming maybe some test audiences didn't like that ending because just miraculously oh look, he led the dinosaur away. Why you couldn't just throw the flare in some direction, I don't know. But
yeah, Ian Malcolm knew how to do that. Yeah. Ian Malcolm did it in the first movie. He still got jacked up, but still.
And they just
I can't wait to complain about that stupid D-Rex. I've got thoughts about that.
Well, I've got some time set aside after we get through the most of stuff to kind of let Brooding Gamer go. I'm going to say, all right, let's talk dinos. I'll let you bitch.
I've got
I'll let
thoughts
Jeremy
on that.
bitch. I've got my gripes,
stupid looking thing.
and then I'll let the dinosaur expert give me some of the technical the specs.
I need some help from the teacher over here.
Yeah, he's gonna quantify all of our experiences. He's gonna put it in perspective. But yeah, look, I love the cast of the movie. I have no problem with it at all. I love obviously Mahershala Ali, dude. That guy's a fucking star. He's so good. I really did like Jonathan Bailey in this. I really thought he would just be that doofy scientist guy who they're just trying to pull out of trouble every now and again. He does have some badass moments, like the part where they finally get the stuff from the egg and he falls down. I was like, he handled that a bit like a reluctant action star. I thought that was a pretty cool scene. But he is kind of he's a put together guy in his own right. He obviously does not exist in the same world as what's her name, Zoe or something like that. I forget what the hell her name is in the movie. But Scarlett Johansson's character and all that, he obviously does not exist in their world, but he can hold his own. He's not just some nerd who spent all of his time, digging out dinosaur bones and hanging out in museums. He can handle his own shit. The guy's doing pretty well for himself. I gotta be honest, I love Scarlett Johansson though. I mean, I like that she's kind of a badass. I like that she's put together. She does seem at times a little more human in this shit, because at first I was like, she's basically playing Black Widow without being an Avenger. She's kind of a badass. She's military trained. She's just Black Widow without the suit and the little shocky bracelets. But the dialogue that happens in some of the downtime is she is kind of human. She just lost her mother. She's trying to figure out a way to kind of calm her life down. Maybe she's not digging this dangerous line of work anymore. There is something a little more grounded about her in this movie that made her way more likable than playing kind of a cartoon character in the MCU for so many years. I mean, because let's face it, that's kind of what comic book characters are. They're comic book characters. They were literally cartoons on the page at some point before they were put on film. But I actually really liked what she did with this. Couldn't stand the kids. I'm just so fucking tired of kids. I don't get it.
I do have to, when it comes to ScarJo in this film, I hate, like, once they introduce the idea of, do we give it to this company or do we open source it? And they kind of introduce this fake morality tale of, how it's going to go. It's like, and they do it like 3 times in this movie with, throughout the runtime or whatever. And it's like, by the end of it, they're going to be like, oh no, we give it to the world to like feel good about themselves. Like, come on, like, we know what you're going to do here. That's one of the things that did bug me about on the second viewing of this. I didn't, on the first viewing, the cheese factor didn't hit me as hard as the second time, but the whole will they, won't they of who's going to get the dinosaur DNA, like, that came off very cheap to me. I do have to say that.
I agree. They telegraphed that really bad. I think the best way to make that work, and maybe this is a good lead into the plot stuff now, is that they should have just not mentioned that at all, and had it been some revelation that comes to them at the very end, where they're like in the middle of like the big epic part of the climax of the third act, like maybe that kind of something that kind of pops into to old dude's head. And he's like, wait a minute, you're kind of an asshole. Maybe instead of doing this for you and curing heart disease or whatever, maybe we just give it to everybody and you can't make any money off it. Because at the end of the day, we're going to save a bunch of lives anyway. Why should it just be you guys making all the money off it? Why can't we just put it out there for everybody? It would have been funner if they had not telegraphed it so badly over the course of this entire movie. Because the moment they bring it up, it's just like, well, now we know what you're going to do. You gave us the choice and we know what you're going to choose because we've all seen a movie before. So we know where this is going to go. Why not save that and have it have something that happens kind of spontaneously at the end? That would have been a better reveal to me, because I really hate it when it's like they give you that moral dilemma, like in the halfway through the first act. And we're like, we know where you're going to go. This is how movies operate. We know. So why pose the question that you're going to drag the question out over the course of the movie that we already know the answer to? We're just waiting for you to give us the answer we all know is coming. So why ask the question at all? Why not just let it happen kind of spontaneously towards the end of the movie? That would have at least had a little bit of shock factor. You know what I mean? But, I guess they don't understand that a lot of us that went and watched this movie have seen a movie before, like any movie before. We kind of know how things are structured. So that's one of the reasons why I have trouble getting into TV shows these days. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that guy's going to die. I know this person's going to flip. It's like I've seen some of these TV shows. I just know how they're structured. So I can't. I mean, I just can't really. I can't get overly excited about some plot things now because I kind of see how it's happening. But let's go ahead and get to the plot of the movie now. And this is where I'm going to start to tap on this movie a little bit. I'm going to start to slap it around because I have a few issues here, and I was really disappointed in a couple of these things. Again, not Gareth Edwards' fault. Not Gareth Edwards' fault. Just I think more of his writing. It's just uninspired storytelling. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Give me your thoughts on the plot. Did you like it, or is there anything you'd have changed?
I would like to know what medicinal plant that the father found on the island that his completely twisted up broken leg just magically got fixed in the span of like a few hours.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Because he was crouching down, crawling in that little sewer tunnel, whatever the shit, when they're trying to escape at the end. I'm like, oh, so you're just fine now? Okay, that's cool.
It's super easy.
But for the, I mean, like I said, for the video game plot, I mean, it's, yeah, sure. I've played a video game before. I know there's, three, it's always the rule of three. There's three things you have to get from three completely different, of the biggest animals. So, fun video game plot, I guess. And we've seen a movie before. I'm like, I know the, smarmy rich guy is gonna fucking bite it at some point. He's gonna heel turn and be a dick at the end. I do appreciate that they at least, because I'm an asshole like that, and I count shots when people shoot in movies, and I'm like, he shot about 11 fucking times and missed trying to shoot that dinosaur, and Scarlett was like, just give me the damn gun. And then she goes underneath the thing, and she shoots about like 5 more, and it click goes empty. I'm like, okay, that was probably right. You probably got about 15 in that little Glock there, and that's it. So that points for accuracy, I guess, in a movie about mutated dinosaurs.
And then she mag dumps a dinosaur like 10 minutes later. I'm like, did you happen to have an extra mag for that Glock on you? It's really weird.
I'm saying he dumped that couple rounds and missed, and then she took it and then like killed that one dinosaur in the tunnel, and then that was it. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that was the only gun we had, but cool. I thought there was gonna be a little bit more of the mutated dinosaur thing, but I don't know, because then I kind of felt like, well, what were we even setting up if that wasn't maybe the point? Also, I don't know where these islands are. That I'm like, okay, so hold on, there's this like ancient temple that's here. We're just not gonna talk about that. I mean,
that was the Indiana Jones portion inspired by is what that was.
I don't doubt that it was there, and then Engine moves in and makes their 18th research facility that only comes to light when they need to make a new movie. But I mean, okay, interesting. We obviously still had our obligatory like somebody needlessly dies in an over the top way for no reason. Like the French dude who gets like just gobbled by the bird. I was like, oh, that's kind of rude. Okay. I mean, it's I hate to at this point say that like like you were saying, we've seen movies before, so it's kind of predictable. But I think the only thing that kind of bugged me was in the beginning. I mean, especially after we just watched 28 years later, when the title card is rolling, and I'm like, oh, we're just gonna explain that. Oh, okay, so remember how dinosaurs lived everywhere? Okay, now they don't. Now they're dying. Roll the film. We gotta stop doing this shit where we're just like, oh, I'm gonna explain away some really big important plot point that you don't need to ask questions about because I said so. Like, okay, there's a fucking like brachiosaurus in the middle of fucking Times Square holding up the morning traffic. But it's okay, they're dying, and now we've consolidated it back down to just a couple islands along the equator because it's warmer. I'm like, or because it's convenient, I guess, to your story. Because I thought that was the most interesting part about the Jurassic World movies is like, okay, now we've had these monsters go out all over the world now. So I'm like, okay, that's an interesting plot point to kind of put yourself into a corner with, and then you got some interesting story there. But if you're just gonna wipe it away with one sentence on a title card, I'm like, okay, well, we just lost we quite literally have lost the plot. So again, it was a fun movie, but I kind of knew like the end was going to be like ScarJo was kind of just going to be like, yeah, let's just give this to everybody because I didn't come here for money. initially. Somehow spending 2 days here, or a day here, I'm like, change my whole outlook on this thing. There'll be more jobs. It'll be okay. Blade didn't die, so that's always good.
Shout out to Jurassic Fan. What's going on? Hope you come and hang out with us some more. Plenty of movie reviews, Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as random gaming stuff whenever me and Jeremy want to show how bad we suck at Fortnite. Speaking of sucking at Fortnite, guess who's trying to find his way in the stream? And the short answer, no. But you got a tryout last night on Alex and the Garbage Man, and you bricked it, kid. You bricked it. You showed me that you're not ready for big time. You're not ready for the big leagues.
Yeah. Completely derailed last night, by the way. Thank you, Casey. Threw off the whole flow of the show, so thanks for that. That was awesome.
But let me go to you now, Brooding Gamer. The plot. Obviously, this is something you were going to be very into, because how are they going to continue on showing dinosaurs in the modern world? What do you think of the plot of the movie? Did it work for you? Is there anything you'd have changed?
So, I'm probably one of the few people that did not really care for the dinosaurs in our world thing, because it got old fast. There's only so much of I don't know. It felt like something we've already gotten in a lot of, like monsters in the world, are constantly coming after us and whatever. It's like, just after a while it got old quick. And I know that it didn't set well with a lot of fans, so I think that the whole point of this was to backpedal and be like, all right, maybe we should just go back to where things are better, where we're in their environment instead of being in, them being with us. Because it's just, I don't know. I think that was the method to the madness there, where it was like, I think we should backpedal on this and do that. I do think that they could have come up with something better than, now we're doing it for medicinal purposes. That's why we're going after dinosaurs. God forbid you couldn't have just done something else where it's like, we have to go and stop this, this another person who is trying to start a Jurassic Park or a Jurassic World. And then them just kind of grill on this person constantly, like, did you not pay attention to the last 2 times this happened? Like, and just have that one, jerk guy. That it's like, I'm here, really? I was hoping the whole time that Krebs was going to be like, joke's on you, we don't care about heart disease. We're actually here just to get the DNA because these animals are going to help us create the ultimate hybrid or whatever, which is a theory that I actually talked about in one of my videos, was that the D-Rex was like a hybrid, some type of hybrid off the 3 main animals that they were hunting after. But because it kind of resembles all 3 of them in a way. But story wise, I wasn't a big fan of needing to go for heart disease. That's a new one. I feel like they just pulled that one out of their asses. But I don't know. It felt good once they were on the island to get back into, I guess, get their hands dirty again, instead of just being like, let's just travel the world where there's dinosaurs that make absolutely no sense, but it only makes sense if you watch the Netflix version, because that tells you why there's dinosaurs in places that shouldn't have dinosaurs in it. But it's okay because the cartoon says it's okay. Like, I was kind of over it anyway, so I'm glad that we're done with the dinosaurs in our world thing. I do think it was kind of stupid that they felt the need to explain it twice. 1 in a title card as if this were Star Wars, and then 2 literally like not even 10 minutes later in an animated video in the museum tell us that the dinosaurs are dying out because of the climate. That could have just stayed and get rid of the title card. You would have been fine. Like, I liked it better that described it than sitting there having to read it, because it kind of pulls you away. That you're having to. You don't go to the movies to read. You go to the movies to watch and listen, and that did a better job of explaining it. Like, this explains why they're going away, and it's kind of weird now that they're talking about, like, all of a sudden dinosaurs are in the zoo now. Like, I'm sure that was only a matter of time before people do that. Like,
which is kind of what Jurassic Park and Jurassic World were.
Yeah.
Isn't there like 6 movies of them trying to do that already? I'm pretty sure.
I guess it was just, you got to pick the right dinosaurs. Stop picking the big scary one and just pick the one that's pretty much a giant elephant.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I like that idea better, to be 100%. It's kind of funny to be like, over here's the rhino. Over there's a triceratops, which is just a much larger fucking rhino. But you know, I like the story to a point. I'm with Tex. It felt like Jaws. That was probably because that's one of
that
my
one
favorite
portion
scenes.
was. They ripped off a Jaws line. It's my charter. It's my boat.
Yeah,
They straight up ripped that off.
and I think that was probably a reference to that.
It had to have been.
Yeah, but I love it because that's one of my favorite scenes in Jaws. Is
Right.
all these people showing up on the island and just all this chaos and everybody just going after anything they can find with a fin. And then in this, it was like a Moby Dick meets Jaws kind of a scene. It was fun. When they're all, hooting and hollering and, whooping. It was fun. But I don't know. It was fun to watch.
I don't know. Tex, might I ask you about the plot yet? I lost what I was doing. I was making.
No, you have not.
No, go ahead. Give me your thoughts on the plot. What did you like, and is there anything you'd have changed?
Completely dumped the family plot story because that drug this movie down like concrete shoes. That was the go pee moments. They completely wasted the T-Rex. Could he not just jump over those rocks in the lake and go eat them? Like seriously, that was my first thought when I saw that. Now since we do have the dinosaur expert here, I do have to ask you a question, sir. Which one of these is worse? Stormtroopers' aiming abilities or dinosaurs' biting abilities? Because they fail more times than they succeed when they're trying to bite something, especially in this film. Did you notice that?
A little bit I did. It's kind of hard to understand. You kind of broke up on that a little bit. I got what's worse?
Can you hear me?
Stormtroopers or what?
Yeah, stormtroopers aiming, their laser rifles and missing, or these dinosaurs trying to bite and eat somebody because they snap at everything, but they never bite anything in this movie.
Oh, it's that's just straight up Hollywood problem there. They want.
I know. I'm just saying it was very noticeable. It was the plot armor in this movie is strong, and the movie is worse for it. The only people who it was real easy to tell who you knew was going to die. It was the French guy and the girl that you see like 2 minutes of that helped drive the boat. Everybody else was safe. Like you just
I didn't
knew
think. What's his face? I keep wanting to call him Ajax because that's who he was in Deadpool. I didn't think he was going to die that quickly. And then I had to sit there like, oh, wait a minute. I saw you in the trailers, but I didn't pay attention that that's who you were. I was like, that's Ajax. And I'm like, oh, he's a big character. He's a big actor. Nope, he's dead in the first 10 minutes of the adventure. Me, I'm like,
at this point, Jurassic Park movies, you have keep put into your mindset of I'm not going to watch a good movie. I'm going to watch a theme park ride on screen. That's what they're just like the Fast and Furious movies. Don't expect too heavily on details and plot. Just go along for a fun ride and turn your brain off. And this movie is a definite case for that because, this $1 billion facility was undone by a perfectly placed Snickers wrapper with the name right there on the screen so you could see exactly what it was. That's what undid all this.
Our undoing.
And once again, I'm glad I have the dinosaur expert. Let's say there was a security breach. Should not that have that one door that enclosed him been the only thing that messed up, not the entire facility structure
that
shut
made
down?
No sense to me. And I'm not sure, because that was the first thought in my head when that thing shut. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this enclosure's done. This one's done. This one's done. I'm like, I could get that one shutting off, but I wasn't sure. And it just it could conveniently shut down when you all need it to, even though it was broken because of a piece of paper.
Right.
But you couldn't have done that. Like, I get the thing was right behind him and everything, but which I have to say, props to that man's acting. Let's be honest.
Oh no, he acted very well. It was just a stupid scene that they put him in.
Yeah, that scene made me anxious because it's like you're absolutely terrified. And yeah, people are like, "Oh no, I'm gonna die." This guy was like actually like ugly crying.
Right.
And he whined like a toddler. I mean, what else are you going to do when you've got fucking xenomorph, Balrog,
that thing was stupid. I can't wait to go off on that stupid looking. I hated
I'm
that.
not and I've got
I
some
saw
shit
it,
for that.
like once I saw a wide shot of it, I'm like, that's the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen in my life. But no, plot wise, this movie, there is no plot. It's, we need to go get the DNA from the mosasaur. We just happened to find 2 of them when we rescued this family. Let's go to the long necks, the titanosaur or whatever. We just happened to find 2 of them. They just stumble. Literally, this is an entire movie of that was super easy, barely an inconvenience to film, is what you could have called this.
Like Jeremy said, a big old video game.
There were no stakes. There was, now we've got the titanosaurs. Look up in the sky. Now it's the flying bird.
I did not think they were actually going to turn and go, there's our next objective.
Why not cut the family storyline? This is how you make this movie better. The only plot point that this movie needed was, we need to get the DNA from these 3 dinosaurs, which they're not even dinosaurs. They might as well be kaijus at this point. There's nothing natural about these things. So cut the family plot completely. I hated every scene with them in it. Which, by the way, I guess they had to get their version of Grogu, Baby Yoda, or Crypto the Super Dog to compete this summer. That's all that dinosaur was. Which, another plot point I thought, by the way, if dinosaurs can't live in our world and that girl is bringing that dinosaur to our world, the thing's going to die too.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say, you're just killing
I had that thought.
But it's funny.
There were no stakes in this movie. It was like, there it is. It was stupid.
Yeah. I enjoyed the family aspect to a point.
I hated it. I hated all of it.
Like, there were points to where it actually felt like a real family, where it's like, little girl has seen some shit. And I mean, let's be blunt, that little girl had seen some shit.
That girl's going to be diabetic by the time she's 15 eating that much candy. All right? I'm just saying.
Feeding a damn dinosaur. I'm surprised that thing wasn't shitting in her bag.
Right.
But, you have, the only characters in the family that felt real were the little girl and the sister. The dad was all over the fucking place. He's like, I'm a good dad. By the way, this man tried to kill my daughter, and I'm going to act like it was a mild inconvenience, but I'm more interested in following this pipe. Which he's like, the man who killed me. And he's like, I'm like, I'd be like, what do you mean? What the fuck you mean a man tried to kill you? New objective.
I would have took that walking stick upside his head. There would have been no talking me out.
The boyfriend, I was like, I instantly knew the second he came on screen. I'm like, can't stand you, hate you, get eaten, don't care. And then he tries, and then he'll do something, and I'm like, okay, that was cool. Like him making the fire, and him being 100% like, I don't know why your daughter likes me, blah, 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 blah. And then, I gotta take a piss. I'm like, what the fuck? And the most random ass thing I've ever heard is, I in my review, I made a comment that this movie felt like James Cameron had a plate full of Avatar and a glass of Jurassic Park, ate too much, drank too much, and puked up, and this is what we got. I mean, I'll tell you, the island looked beautiful. I know that the
island looked good. Yeah, no, it looked cool.
Mountains like that. It looked straight out of Pandora. But when they get out there and the boy's like, you ever think old people look at a bed and think, I'm buying my coffin. I'm like, dude, what the fuck was that?
Well,
and I looked at, I don't know, when I saw Rachel's hand the whole time was like, what?
Jeremy's working on some things. Hopefully he can get that back up.
Well, the boyfriend, he was just so quippy, and like when he's like the scene once they're on the island and the dad's like, if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't be alive. And the dad's like trying to have like a heart-to-heart moment with him, and he just like smacks him on the chest and cracks wise and walks away. I'm like, you little prick. I hate you. I hope they eat you now. Like, he was not likable whatsoever. I wanted him to get it. Like, it was.
I felt bad for the dad up until his daughter was like, that man tried to kill me, and he's like,
Dad's up there piloting the boat while his daughter's getting banged out by the shirtless boyfriend. You know what's going on in that boat. I mean, come on. We're not stupid. I know this is a PG-13 movie, but there's a reason why. Even the little girl, because you get to see him naked. Like, the daughter knew what was going on.
Y'all are pretty much that boat's small. Y'all are like sleeping in the same place. Let's be blunt.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. They should have cut everything when it family plot wise because I did not like it.
I feel like it would have been better if he would have just gotten eaten.
It would have been better if that entire family would have gotten eaten, to be perfectly honest.
Yes, please.
This is where I'm gonna really tag this movie because, and again, this is not a Gareth Edwards problem. This is a writing problem, and I'm really disappointed that the guy that wrote the first Jurassic Park came back and gave me this direct that he couldn't give me something better. First off, Groguosaurus, terrible idea. They may as well have just brought Baby Yoda in and said that he transported there from Tatooine or some shit.
You didn't like the Aqualops?
Well, because I get it because I know you. Now I'm sure, Brooding Gamer, you've read the Jurassic Park book, right? Probably several times.
Yeah.
So there's that thing where it was the baby Triceratops or Stegosaurus, I forget. They come across the baby dinosaur and they kind of it follows them around. It's friendly. It's basically just like what we see in this movie. They never really approached that in any of the prior movies except for maybe I think they kind of tried to do that storyline in the third one, but it was a very emotional point in the book because as they're leaving the island toward the end of the book, the military is bombing a bunch of stuff along the coastline to give them cover, and then you see that little baby Saurus, baby whatever-osaurus, running down the dock to say goodbye to them, and the smoke from the bomb to kind of envelops it. And that's the way I remember it anyway. It's been a million years since I actually read the book.
Well, they did that with.
So if they were going for something like that, then it missed. It's like I don't understand.
Yeah, they did that with Fallen Kingdom with the Brachiosaurus who was walking across the dock, which that film I don't like that film much. I'll always love it because it's.
Was that the last one where they brought all their original people back? Fallen Kingdom?
No, before that. That was Dominion.
Oh, okay. But
my other problem, and you guys said it already, was the kids. Why does there always have to be a fucking kid somehow ending up on one of these goddamn islands? Look, I understand it's kind of like what you do in Jurassic World or one of the Jurassic films. There's a kid, and the kid is in trouble, and people have to do whatever, and I don't care. There's just you don't have to have a kid in every one of these movies. I just don't get it.
The only Jurassic films where they did kids right was obviously the first one.
The first one.
And
the first one worked,
I did not dislike Jurassic World with the two boys. I did not dislike
the first one.
I thought that was.
Yeah. At least it made sense that kids were going to be on the island because it was an amusement park at that point.
Yeah.
Well, that one made sense because there were people actually in the theme park at that point, so it made sense.
But I appreciated the way they did that. But and then you had to go the Lost World with Dr. Malcolm's daughter. That she fucking annoying. And then you had, which I found out they actually wanted to bring her back for Dominion, and people were like, "No, do not bring her back." And then you have Jurassic Park 3 with the boy, which he wasn't bad. At least he was a badass. At least he was like, "Oh, I've been here 6 weeks. I now know how to camouflage. I know how to get T-Rex pee from a dead dinosaur." At least that kid was a badass. But it was just kind of why do you got to bring? I'm like with Frank, why do you got to keep bringing kids into it? I don't remember if Fallen Kingdom had children in it. It did. It had the little girl, which was annoying as hell. And then, of course, they had to bring her. At least she became more of a badass in Dominion. She was more like a rebellious teenager, but I guess at that age she is a rebellious teenager, but still.
Yeah, another thing that got me is, look, how many times does this fucking franchise have to give me essentially the same bad guy, some smarmy fucking company man who's just greedy? Seriously, we've had 17 of these fucking movies, and in all 17 of them, it's some corporate asshole that is the ultimate bad guy. Can you not? This is the performance, not my problem. The actor, not my problem.
No, his performance was good. He was good in the role.
Why not make him a sympathetic character? Why not, instead of him being one of these guys who's just out for a bunch of money, saying, look, I happen to work for a big pharmaceutical company, and we happen to know now that the DNA of these dinosaurs is going to save a lot of lives. And then somewhere along the lines, you find out he's not necessarily trying to save a lot of lives. His granddaughter's sick, or his wife is sick, or his mother. Why not make him a sympathetic character just once instead of some schmarmy asshole corporate sleazebag who you hate from the very jump? Because the moment you meet him, you're like, you are an asshole. We know, we've seen your character in these movies 27 fucking times. I already hate you. I mean, sure, you're playing nice, you're having those conversations with Scarlett Johansson with the doctor guy and all that, but it's like we've seen your character a bunch of times. Why not make him like I said, make him a more sympathetic character. Give him a real reason that he's doing this. So that way, at the end of the movie, when he drops that damn case and Scarlett Johansson picks it up, he can have one of those final lines like, "Get this to my daughter," as the fucking dinosaurs taking him into the darkness for the last time. That to me would have been something very emotional that I could have gotten behind. I could have been like, damn, now we have to do this because this guy's daughter or this guy's loved one needs to survive because he was trying to do the right thing for the right stuff. And just, no, another just asshole corporate prick that we've gotten from this franchise over and over and over again. Another thing that pissed me off, and Tex, you alluded to it in your title right there, the fucking Snickers wrapper. Are you kidding me? I was like, I looked, that was the one time watching this whole movie that I just kind of went, oh, and rolled my eyes. I was like, what in the name of bad writing, Final Destination bullshit was that scene? I was like, because I haven't seen Final Destination Bloodlines yet, but I did see the opening scene with the penny.
Final Destination Bloodlines was good.
And
it actually had creative writing.
Well, the writing is one thing. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm not going to criticize the entire film. But I mean, I've told you guys before, my problem with the Final Destination movies as a whole is these situations that they find themselves in are so fucking cartoonish. They're so outlandish. Right. I mean,
it's like it's a theme park ride. It's what it is. It's not serious.
Well, yeah, but still, you have to ground them enough to where I feel like this can exist. And the kid throwing the penny off the fucking building and causing all that fucking chaos, I was like, no fucking way. Same thing with it. As soon as I saw that wrapper hit the ground, the way the camera focused on it, I was like, a Snickers wrapper is gonna fucking this whole thing up? I was like,
well, yeah,
really?
Because the whole time I watch eating it, I'm like, why are we focused on this?
I watch it, and then it gets sucked into the thing and starts acting up, and I rolled my eyes and I was like, this is fucking Final Destination. What is this nonsense? I mean, give me something. It would have been better if it had been like just a random short circuit somewhere that nobody's really at fault for. It's just one of those things that happens. The Snickers wrapper, that was so silly.
The original,
come on.
And the thing is that pissed me off is the original scene was so much better. The way that was supposed to go was so much fucking better.
Anything would have been better than that scene.
Well, originally it's supposed to be the creature with the wings, the Mutodon. That one of those breaks out and causes the whole system to. That makes more sense.
That would have made sense.
Dinosaurs doing dinosaur things would have fit.
Yeah.
But the fucking candy wrapper, I was like, it was so slapstick. I was like, that was a slapstick way of all this happening. This isn't a slapstick movie. Another thing that gets me is the dinos are dying. It's like, look, I understand the idea of the dinosaurs not being able to exist in the modern world with the climate being different and with the world being different and not having trouble acclimatizing to the world the way it is now, not the way it was 65 million years ago. That made sense to me. But if they're dying, how are you going to get more movies out of this? Because they've pretty much said that dinosaurs are no longer a part of the world. They only exist in that band around the equator where it's more tropical and they can inhabitate that area. But there's only so many places around the equator where there's land. And if the dinosaurs are having trouble existing too far away from the equator, what are you going to do next? Is it going to be another schmarmy asshole wanting money for dino skin or some shit? I mean, what are we going to do with this? So if the dinos are dying, how do you plan on getting a second and third movie out of this franchise? Because you've already said the dinos are not going to be playing a very big part in the stuff moving forward if they're all dying. So you're going to have to keep rehashing this. We need to get dinosaurs for some corporate asshole. And then the next movie's going to come. We need to get dinosaurs for this corporate asshole. And by the time we get to that third movie, I'm going to be like, guys, I just don't care anymore. Another thing is, seriously, one of the moments I always look for in these movies, and it is almost always delivered, is the T-Rex being the hero at the end. It happened in the first movie when he came in and started to attack the Velociraptors right as they were getting ready to get everybody. All along this thing, it's like at the end of every movie, the T-Rex is there to raise havoc and give them just that second to get away. He's always the inadvertent hero. We didn't get that in this movie, and I found myself really annoyed by it all. Not only was I annoyed by him not being the inadvertent hero at the end of the movie, I was annoyed that he's in one fucking scene. Same thing with the Velociraptor.
And they completely he's punked out in this movie.
One scene. The two best dinosaurs you've ever had in this fucking franchise, and they each get one scene.
I feel like with the T-Rex, they only put the T-Rex in there. We'll call it the Ninja Rex, because how the fuck did it do that?
My son said the same thing. Yeah. He's like, wait a minute, where the fuck is
it pulled a Batman. It pulled a Batman, it's fine.
And here we go. Poof, I'm gone. Like the T-Rex, they put it in there, and it was probably, and I'll be honest, it's probably the best T-Rex we've ever received. One was so much fucking bigger and more intimidating.
It looked great, yeah.
But you're gonna make him
look so much more intimidating than the Rex than Rexy. Like, we get it. That just kind of became like, oh, there's your mascot. We got to shove her in blue in your face every chance we get. But it acted more like an animal. Like, looking at this from a realistic point of view, it acted more like an animal than any T-Rex we've ever had. It's the fucking laying on its back and literally scratching its chest. I was like, I fucking feel that after a big meal. Like, I love that. And it getting up and walking over, getting a drink, and then, like, as it's going, it turns and it looks, and it just stares at them. It doesn't instantly go, I'm going to chase you now. It's kind of like any normal predator would act. It sees you, and it kind of just slowly walks with you, kind of like, let's see how close I can get. And then it just like, oh, the water's getting deep, so it's going to stop. So let's take a playbook, or a literal scene from the original book that should have been in Jurassic Park but never made it in, and let's just make this T-Rex fucking, like, crocodile swim by you. And one of my coworkers that we just hired on, she's really big into this stuff too, and she was like, the one thing people noticed, and, like, people in my side of the YouTube world, is, it did exactly what any normal animal would do. It hits the raft, it sees them fly, and it's like, all right, I'm done. Turns to walk, they pop back up, it goes, oh, hey, look again. It's just it's constantly going after anything that moves. If it moves, it didn't necessarily need to eat them, but it is a predator. It will still do what a predator would do. And same go, like, so I like the fact that, and you guys have a right to be pissed off that the Rex did not get to be, like, it did what it did and then it was gone, when the original script called for the T-Rex to come out at the very end of the film and maybe not kill the D-Rex, but they were supposed to get into a big fight where the D-Rex would eventually get killed.
Which would
have happened.
But they stopped because supposedly there is, theories that they're going to be going back to at the end, or like in another film, to address this again. Because that's not something you can just introduce to the franchise and be like, all right, peace out, you had your 5 minutes of fame. That's not how that works. Which I'm with Tex. I have a lot to complain about with the D-Rex. I do disagree with its look. I did actually enjoy the look. It was hard to look at. It was kind of ugly, and the only thing I didn't agree with was the little arms on its chest. If you wanted to truly make it look like a mutant, have at least one arm, like, but it acted, in my opinion, it kind of creeped me out. Because, you look at this thing, like this shot right here, where the guy's in the tank and it kind of puts its hand out, and it's kind of like, it's not like grabbing and taking a bite out of a Snickers bar and walking away. It's kind of just like, it knows who that is, it knows what that is, so it's kind of like curious about it, it's messing with it, picks it up, and instead of just taking a bite the second he picks it up, it like holds him upside down and kind of gets like a look like, what the fuck do I do with this? And it's like, oh shit, this is food, I can eat this. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. There was so many things that could have been done better with that type of, because they didn't actually push the D-Rex in marketing hardly at all. It was there. It was like, hey, we also have a big scary toy of it. It does cool things. But like with Jurassic World, the Indominus Rex was pushed constantly. It was like Blue T-Rex, or Blue and Indominus Rex. Those were the two things that they pushed the most. This surprisingly didn't get a lot of marketing. Yeah, you'd see it in the trailer for a few seconds, but there wasn't a, like, oh, by the way, here's a, go to your local Speedway and you can pick up a cup with this horrible looking monstrosity on it. No, they just pushed the main species that they really wanted to focus on. So it's kind of like, why would you put this thing in there if you're really not going to push the marketing for it to begin with? Like, you want it to be your literal big bad villain dino, but then it shows up at the beginning of the film. You kind of get this like really creepy red hazy look. It does some, like, the one thing I want to give props to this thing was its sound design. The sounds this thing made were fucking phenomenal. That's where I got, like, you would hear that in Godzilla. Like, and I love the Godzilla films for the sound design as well, because all the animals, all the hyper kaijus had like weird, unique sound effects to them. And an animal, any monster movie you make is just as good as its look, and two, what it sounds like. You know, if you get this weird ass creature on screen and it's like, you're not gonna be scared. You're gonna be like, what the fuck was that? Like, what was that noise I just heard? But it just, that the only thing I didn't agree with in this film was they push it, or they show it off, and then they go through an entire movie where it does not make an appearance. There's not even a scene that they could have done where it's like they find the tracks of it in the mud or in the dirt, and then them go, oh, well, it's a T-Rex, and Loomis go, no, it's not. This thing's quadrupedal, blah, 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 blah. Something's not, I don't know what this is. It's probably one of those mutants that Krebs was talking about, so we need to keep an eye on this or be careful. And just leave it at that. At least then it would have been like, hey, there's something here we need to worry about. No. It's just, it was MIA the entire film until the very end of the film, which I explained a little bit to me as well about why it only appeared at the very end of the movie, which will still piss people off, but I mean, it's from a scientific point of view. But
yeah, the one of the things I did like about it, though, some of the visual stuff, is they did have a few visual cues that go back to the very beginning of the franchise. The lowering of that sign as they're talking in the museum was definitely a throwback to when the sign is falling in the first film. The whole objects in the rearview mirror being closer than they appear, I thought that was pretty funny. As soon as that happened, when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh yeah, I get that reference. Yeah, I see that.
I actually did have one question. So, okay, the events in the beginning of the film with the D-Rex breaking out, that was 17 years before the end of this movie, correct?
Yes.
So you're telling me that gas, now I understand geothermal power, yada, yada, whatever. Why is everything in that gas station, all that candy and sodas, everything pristine, look like everything's, no food has eroded? They just go in and snack up like it's a fully stocked 7-Eleven you could go to.
Well,
did y'all notice that?
Popping open one of them Dr. Peppers.
That stuff is loaded with preservatives and shit. You know.
Okay, but still, even in a movie where mutant dinosaurs are somehow a thing, in my head I'm thinking like, yeah, that Dr. Pepper would not be any good 17 years later. I got news for you.
I was like, honestly, I was so annoyed at these. I was so annoyed at these fucking kids that those dumb little things like that just watch right over me.
No, it bugged me. No, like I said, the first time around, it didn't really bug me. The second time, when I'm paying attention to like the smaller little details, I'm like, wait a minute. So this is allegedly 17 years later. All that candy is just all edible, and them Dr. Peppers ain't flat at this point and just pure Karo syrup.
They might be flat and gross, but if you're thirsty, man, hey, any port in the storm.
I'll
eat some 17-year-old Doritos.
And on top of that, that's a gap. Okay, this one bugged me even more than the gas station. The ATV vehicle that bad guy drives away at the end of the movie, all right? That's a gas powered engine. You can hear it crank up. Folks, fuel won't last more than 30 days with ethanol in it. I highly doubt that thing is just going to run 17 years later. Fuel injected carbureted either way. Like these were the things. Right. Like every flashlight worked. Everything was freshly stocked 17 years later.
They grab them and like, click. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. Once again, super easy, barely inconvenience the movie. This is what this is. It was just the little things like that really bugged me in this movie for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but those details caught my attention. Right. Yeah.
Like they paddled God knows how long, and then it just appeared. But what got me,
now,
this was something that one of the people I was speaking with after the first viewing I saw, they were like, how is it that the dinosaur can obviously smell the T-Rex, it smells the body, so it knows, hey, there's something bad over there. But yet, while you've got a Mutodon crawling through the ceiling like some fucking vampire Dracula creature, which I thought was kind of cool, not gonna lie. But it doesn't know, it doesn't pay attention to that. But ooh, chips. It's like it was just kind of like checking out the aisles. I'm like, motherfucker, you just. But okay.
I don't know. It was the things like that that really bugged me. Like my favorite thing about this, I'll give a positive just to balance it out for my end, but I love the Mosasaurus. I think that design of a dinosaur is incredible. Like hell, I even bought the cup that had the little Mosasaur just to have on my shelf because I enjoy it so much. But you know, they treated the Mosasaur like it was Jaws. Like and by the way, that was my favorite scene in this entire film was that ocean part. Besides the family rescue nonsense, whatever. The actual battling of the Mosasaur and those Spinosaurs. I thought that was incredible filming. I thought it looked good. The CGI was great. Now, once again, we get about 4 or 5 of those dinosaur bites that doesn't kill anybody, but whatever. But the Mosasaur, I really wanted more of it in this movie. Like that to me was the best thing about this movie, and I did not get like I thought maybe the D-Rex is like chasing them. I mean, hell, they were in the water right there. They could have said, "Oh, you know, this water's really deep," and somehow the Mosasaur attacks the D-Rex or something. I don't know. Do something with the Mosasaur, but for those 3 dinosaurs to be so integral, hell, 7-Eleven, our gas, you know, it's a national gas station, but one of the main ones down here, you could buy a cup for all 3 dinosaurs that had little keychain stuff. They push that merch everywhere. I would have used those 3 dinosaurs more integral to the plot, more than a plot point of, oh, collect DNA and move on to the next level for a video game reference. They should have done more with that, but especially with the Mosasaur. I really like that creature design. It's like a mix of Jaws and Godzilla with coloring on it.
Oh, yeah.
I like
well,
that.
The only thing about it that threw me off was when they're like, oh, InGen had it tagged before and they lost it, but we found it. I'm like, wait, so that's the same one from the first.
From the I was wondering about that too. Yeah.
How did it, like, I made a video on my channel talking about why are animals changing?
But then they find 2. There was a ghost signal, so they found 2 of them together then, right? Next to the family?
No, there's only the one. So they confirm that it's the same Mosasaur from Jurassic World, the theme park, that somehow went from blue and like alligator scaly like to smooth skin, stomach like a humpback whale. And I'm like, all right, you could have just been like, oh, this is a different Mosasaur. Yeah, like that. And I mean, it's just like it changed its tail to have like a tail fluke, which the original Mosasaur did not. I'm like, I get Hollywood's going to be like, well, we need to make it look like the Spinosaurus.
They had to make it different, so you had to buy a new, dinosaur to put on that wall behind. That's why it looked different.
Yeah, and it's like, when they're like, oh, we've got. It's just, I get that's how Hollywood works, and it's like sometimes you have those people that are like, well, why did they look different from this film to this film? Okay, well, Hollywood, because if it looks
the same reason why Batman gets a new costume every movie for money. Yeah, that's why.
Which, I mean, obviously Mosasaur got enough credit that it's getting its own inflatable costume now, so it can now join the world of inflatable dinosaur costumes. But
there you go.
I'm wearing my tactical T-Rex shirt from Kentucky Ballistics. So, yeah.
Frank,
I'm talking about.
Actually, by the way, Frank just had a birthday, so happy birthday, Frank. He is an old Manosaurus for this review purpose.
Yeah, I'm only a few years away from having actually existed with the dinosaurs. But, Brooding Gamers actually already gotten into one of the next things I wanted to talk about, and that's the dinosaurs. I'm going to kind of let Brooding Gamer go for a minute on this one. The looks of the dinosaurs, how they have changed over the course of the franchise, what about real life dinosaurs. I mean, what did you think of the look of the dinosaurs in this film?
I thought they did pretty damn good. Like Spinosaurus, you know, they obviously do go with what they have. That is an interesting image there. I don't remember it having bat wings like that. That's weird.
Yeah, that looked cool.
You do. They can only do so much with what they have. Like if you look at Jurassic Park 3, the Spinosaurus looked absolutely different compared to what it looked like right here on screen now. But that's because we only had so many bone fragments that we have to do an educated guess. Because, you know, when you're a paleontologist, you find something new and they're like, hey, get this in a museum now. You need to come up with an idea what you think this thing looks like. As time goes on, we now know that they are more like what you're seeing on screen, crocodile-like with paddle tails, stuff like that. We have more information on them. So it was good to see them more scientifically accurate. I'm sure in another 5 years they're going to change again because we find out more information. But that's just the glory of paleontology. There's always a new discovery. There's always something more. And there's nothing wrong with changing things over the years. So, I mean, the T-Rex, like I said earlier, looked absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best designs we've ever received. I was afraid that in the commercials, this thing was like a Titan. This thing was massive. I was like, I guarantee you in the movie, it's going to be all of a sudden really small, like a lot smaller than this, and it's not going to have that same impact. It absolutely did. This thing was a absolute fucking Titan from a distance, and the closer you got to it, it's like it's getting even worse. The Raptors, what little we got to see of the Raptors, thank God for merchandise. There's a much better look. You're thinking
they're only
of like
in the one scene, right, where the kid takes a piss.
Yeah. But going into that, we didn't even know what they were gonna, or what we knew what they were gonna look like because of merchandise, because of balloons, toys, and images that were going to originally be on like Dr. Pepper cans and stuff like that. So just think of the Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor with the quills, but give it just a little bit different of a color scheme and take away the red eyes. I was okay with it. I still think that they did the Raptors dirty. This would be the first time I think, like with all the other Jurassic films, we kind of just ignored raptors. Yeah, there was blue, but I miss just when raptors were not named characters. They were just what they are, which is a fucking eating cheetah-like killing machine. Like in Jurassic Park, The Lost World, and Jurassic Park 3, they were their own characters and they were terrifying. And they were like this did them dirty. It was like, oh, we got to show you how bad this new Predator is. Well, we've seen one Velociraptor the past 3 films. You guys didn't need to do this. It's not me saying I didn't dislike the hybrids that they gave us, the mutants, whatever we're calling them. I know they're confirmed as hybrids now because of what they were attempting to do before Jurassic World. Part of it just doesn't make sense to me in that case because it's like you guys have the science to make dinosaurs, but you don't have the science to crossbreed dinosaurs. I mean, people crossbreed dogs and cats all the time. You don't see dogs with 6 arms and a bulbous head and eating, people with Snickers bars because you accidentally bred a golden doodle and a pit bull the wrong way. But like,
oh, that'd be the ugliest thing you ever saw.
I'm like, you guys, a little interesting here. I mean, all the other dinosaur designs, though, what they gave us, the Titanosaurus, which is completely inaccurate in what the largest sauropod was, because Titanosaur is not an actual dinosaur; it's like the class of it. So, Titanosaurs are a class, but technically largest was called Argentinosaurus, but it still looked fucking phenomenal. It's a beautiful design. It's one of the reasons I picked that up. I love the whip tail. I thought that was probably one of the most unique scenes in the entire film was, these two meeting and then the tails. It felt like there was just miles and miles and miles of tail floating in the air, and I was just like, you didn't know
it just comes up out of nowhere. It shows up.
Yeah, I know they said that they intended for that to look kind of like DNA strands, as if the tails were interconnecting like DNA, and I'm like, okay, I can see it, and I thought it was cool. I thought the design of it was really cool, and I'll never give the Jurassic franchise bad props for making a dinosaur look cool. They definitely make them look really, really cool.
I thought I had that picture. I don't know what happened to it. Oh well, too late for me to worry about it. But I don't know, Texie, real quick before we go into the trivia, what do you think of just the look of the dinosaurs? Did it work for you?
Everything looked fine to me except for that stupid D-Rex looking thing. Like, now, I will say, when you see it in the red smoke or in the right darkness, like the two scenes for me where it really worked are obviously the opening because that's what the cutout was made out of, and that is on posters and everything. And that red smoke where you like, I kind of compared the D-Rex to the Xenomorph. In the darkness, it looks even better because you can't see what's behind it. But the middle shot, like once we see it in regular light and we get a full body shot of this thing, and like when it turns to the side and like it doesn't look intimidating like a T-Rex. It looks like a big slug, and those weird short little arms in the middle. Like I'm like, this thing does not like. If the T-Rex had shown up and they were going to fight, I'm taking the T-Rex. What are those little arms going to do against another big, mutant dinosaur or whatever? I could not stand the D-Rex. I thought it looked like crap. The bulbous head was too big, whereas like a xenomorph or like, that's obvious. It's like a mix of that and a rancor, basically. The xenomorph, it's sleeker and it goes back and it works with the design. This one, it just looks bothersome and it gets in the way, it looks like. I did not like the design of it overall. I was not impressed. But T-Rex looked good. Love the Mosasaurus. The shots of it rolling in the water looked incredible. The flying one looked good. I like the extended beak that the flying one had within that scene of the movie, where it's snapping at them and they're doing the whole "hey, over here" routine. Yada yada, whatever. That looked cool whenever it first comes up eating Frenchie guy. That was something else. Which I will say, they should have gave me some bloodshed with it. I understand it's a PG-13; they can only do so much. They're trying to go for kids here, but they could have gave us one real good blood scene. We didn't. The only time you see blood in this film is when they're in the water and you slightly see it as they're driving away. But I needed a little more blood for my taste. But the D-Rex sucks and everything else is fine. So.
Yeah, my son said earlier D-Rex looked goofy.
It did. It looked slow. It looked like you could easily get away from it, is what it looked like.
Well, they set you up for what he was going to look like, because the whole time when you're walking through that lab and you see all those things, you see where I'm guessing going all the way back to when Hammond was running the show in the first Jurassic Park film, that when they're trying to do this biologically, they're running into some roadblocks. It was a little bit of trial and error. So you were going to create that one Velociraptor with two heads, which we saw floating in formaldehyde or whatever. You're going to have one that's got that's missing body parts or hasn't got a birth defect before they get the science of it all just right. But so it kind of was setting you up for what D-Rex was going to look like. He was going to look like essentially a mutant. It's like, yeah, he's one of the ones that worked, but he doesn't quite look like anything that ever existed 65 million years ago in nature. It doesn't look like anything wanted to make. Making Indominus Rex was kind of it kind of made sense. You cross the other one really mean badass dinosaur with another really mean badass dinosaur. Do you have an even bigger, meaner, more badassier dinosaur? But I mean, if you were trying to genetically recreate a Tyrannosaurus Rex and you've got some chromosome out of place somewhere, you're going to end up with something like the D-Rex. And that's so it kind of made sense. But my question is, for the future of the franchise, and I guess we'll get into this now, and I'll go to you guys here in a second. What does the next movie bring? Because look, the sequel's coming. This is Hollywood. We all know it. They can't make just one Jurassic movie and then walk away from it. They've got to make two. They're already essentially saying that dinosaurs are not that big a part of the world anymore. I mean, I'll go to you first, Tex. What do you think the next movie is going to look like? I mean, plot-wise. I mean, obviously some of the people act Scarlett Johansson. I'm not really talking about the actors, but I mean, plot-wise, what can they do that's going to make it watchable?
Well, it's like I said earlier. It's a theme park ride. Literally, Universal. I don't know if y'all have ever been to Universal Studios or not, but they literally have multiple Jurassic Park areas within their parks down there. That's why they make these. They make these movies so they can sell more merchandise and more tickets and make that, park money. As far as plot-wise goes, I think, Frank, you said it earlier in this review, but they cut their own nose off to spite their face, saying, "Oh, well, humanity doesn't care about these dinosaurs anymore." What
so
did you say?
Why should I care about another movie then?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, even the doctor, he's like, when they're tearing down all the displays, he's like, yeah, years ago, the line was around the block. People fought to get in here. Now we sold 12 tickets last week. Like, you're subliminally telling your audience you should not care about this franchise. Now, I know it's made bukus of money, and yeah, of course, they're making another one. They're not going to not do it. But plot wise, it's going to be some other kind of medical shenanigans, or some other army's going to use it, or the military has to kill the D-Rex because somehow he escaped the island, or some nonsensical whatever that you don't really care about because you just want to see dinosaurs on screen. Jurassic Park is the one franchise I can think of that doesn't have a Batman or a Spider-Man or a Superman. It's literally dinosaurs. You can do whatever you want with it. It's a general purpose, character here. So if the Argentinian military wants to come in and militarize the island or whatever it is, it's going to be some nonsense B plot that doesn't really matter, because deep down what Jurassic Park is a big budget B movie, monster movie franchise of fill in the blank, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm sure it'll make money, but it won't make any sense. So, whatever.
I don't know. Broody Gamer, what do you think? What do you think this next movie is going to look like?
I had made a theory that I actually have the video uploading like as we speak. But I have a theory that they'll probably bring back the characters from this, and the goal I had the idea that they're going to go and locate as many of the dinosaurs in our mainland that they could, and take them back to Isla Sorna, which kind of has just been forgotten about. So the island from The Lost World in JP3, they just kind of seem to have forgotten about that, which that island has been perfectly fine for dinosaurs to live on for decades, apparently.
Right.
But then all of a sudden they're like, oh, dinosaurs are flourishing, and they're doing fine there. And I will admit, there is one thing that pisses me off, is they say that the equator is better suited for them because of higher oxygen. There's lower oxygen on the equator. If they want more oxygen, they should have taken them to fucking Antarctica. Like,
don't question the science of a nonsense summer blockbuster, sir.
I'm like, you guys didn't think that through very well. But the one thing, like, that was my theory. It's like, take them back to where they belong. Because that's what, if you care about dinosaurs, take them back. Send them back. It's going to be the interesting of traveling the world, giving us Jurassic World one more time, rounding them up as many as we can, and then as you've got that one. I mean, they kind of did that in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where it's like, oh, you get this one guy who's like, I'm helping transport the dinosaurs to a sanctuary, when in reality, I'm actually just ripping their teeth out, wearing them as a weird necklace, and then helping send them back to a dude's big old Luigi's mansion. So it's like things just... So it'd probably end up like that again, where it's like dinosaurs are supposed to go back to this island so it can be over there, repopulate, do what they want, be left alone, and then you get that one jackass who's like, psych, we're actually going to send them to, I don't know, send them to their death because we want dinosaurs gone permanently or something. I don't know. That's the one thing I've yet to run into, is someone who just wants to kill dinosaurs because they're tired of them. It's always like, well, we could sell them to Japanese and Mexican mobsters and all that jazz, or we could, Didn't
they do that in one of the Chris Pratt, where they had an auction at that mansion or something?
Yeah. They auction off dinosaurs, and they get to the big, scary, hybrid Indoraptor, which I did not dislike. I thought they actually did really good job designing all of those. It's just what they did with them once they had them designed. I have the problem with, but I was happy with the way those went. So that's why I'm kind of hoping that, like, they could don't pull a nostalgia thing where it's like, let's just bring as many old characters as we can into one thing where it feels like a Super Smash Brothers roster, and there's too much going on at once, so you have too many characters to follow, too many stories to follow. Just get a small group of the main characters and just have that as their goal. Pick up the dinosaurs, take them to where they're going to be safe, let them be free for the sheer fact just so they can be free. Not have some weird side story and side mission of, helping, with medical shit. I don't know. I'm trying to, find something that they haven't already done. And that's coming from someone who obviously is passionate about this.
Bottom line is both of us they're going to have to stretch real hard to make sure they don't pull something to make another movie. Is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
Look, the answer's been on the screen the whole time. Dinosaurs in space.
Oh my God!
Here's what's going to happen. Here's one of the next 2 movies. This is going to happen. Some pterodactyl is going to fly into space. You're going to have to send Bruce Willis and his merry band of oil rig drillers up there.
No, send the Fast and the Furious crew. Cross them both over.
Dominic Toretto is going to send another Fiero, rocket-powered Fiero up there with Tyrese Gibson and fucking whatever, the family. And then it's
family.
It's going to happen. I say that kind of half-joking, but only half.
They're going to send CGI dead Paul Walker after a T-Rex on the moon. That's what the next one is.
Wasn't there actually something that they were originally going to have, like a very short scene with one of the Fast and Furious, I think Dom, in one of the Jurassic films, so it'd be like, he would just be there.
They're both owned by Universal.
And
technically, Universal has the right.
The Fast and Furious films.
I don't know, but I certainly fucking hope not, because I would ask my money back from that movie, even if it was a cameo on a post-credit scene. Nope. I know I watched this whole damn movie, even part of the credits, so I want my fucking money back.
I get a refund. You haven't even seen the movie yet.
I don't know. I can't. I can think of lots of stuff you could try, but it's like I have a feeling we're just going to get another. We're going to get another Dodson. We're going to from the Jurassic World franchise. We're going to get another corporate dickhead who wants to be a corporate dickhead for the sake of being a corporate dickhead, and it's not going to be new. If all you're doing is relying on the occasional dinosaur to pop out and kind of jiggle its keys in front of me and distract me from the fact that the plot sucks. And if there's 12 more kids that somehow have ended up on this fucking island through some osmosis, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't see anything logical that you can do with this franchise moving forward to make another movie.
There's not.
Now they're going to do it, and it's Scarlett Johansson.
There's no difference in this. Look at, I was watching Film Threat Monday, and I forget which one of the guys that was talking about it was. He said, this movie was like, okay, think of Jurassic Park 1 and Halloween 1 as even. This is like the Jurassic Park version of Halloween 6, where you've done everything you can do with Michael Myers. Now you're just putting him out there because he sells stuff. That's what the Jurassic Park stuff is. They put these out, like I said a minute ago, Universal puts these out frequently enough to keep them in pop culture. Everybody loves dinosaurs, little boys, little, girls. It's a product for everybody. So it's a both boy and a girl brand. And Universal makes more merch. They keep them in the parks. It's a money printing thing. Because these movies don't have to be good to make money, unfortunately.
But the merch is one thing. I'm talking about the story. I don't really care about the merch.
They don't even care about the story, so why should we? That's my point.
Because they're going to make the movie, and I'm probably going to go, and I'm probably going to spend money to go see the damn thing. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell movie I'm going to get. Look, the merch. Look, I don't really care about merch. I mean, they were selling even before the prequel movies came out. Star Wars merch was selling from the 70s all the way up into the 90s.
Yeah, of course.
So the merch is always going to sell. I don't think they're worried about the merch. I'm just trying to figure out creatively, how do you justify doing another movie? It's like
creatively, there is no justification because we have the dinosaur expert here with us. Even he can't come up with a legible plot that's not. It doesn't, to me, really justify another film. To be honest with you, there's nowhere to go with this franchise.
Maybe they'll dazzle me. Maybe they'll come out with some really insane kind of storyline that is.
Well, hey, just hire another ex-Avenger. They've had. Most of the Avengers cast just like bring in RDJ and he's in the next Jurassic Park movie. That's their strategy now. So, why not?
one of those universal rifts open up, and then
Chris Hemsworth,
Doom, Thor comes into this universe, and
there you go.
And the fucking D-Rex ends up going to that universe, and he ends up getting the gauntlet and snapping.
I can see it right now. The D-Rex is like, coming through the trees, and Chris Hemsworth in his, not Thor, but he kind of looks like him. He's like, I got this, and he like rips the sleeves off of his t-shirt, and he goes up and he fist fights the D-Rex. That'll be the next Jurassic Park. There you go. Thank you, Universal. I expect a check in the mail for my story contributions. Thank you. So,
no, it'll be Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is going to be the next one. He's going to do something. He's going to do Tom Cruise things. He doesn't need to do anything except go there and be Tom Cruise. But what's sad is that what they're going to end up giving us isn't going to be as good as this outlandish shit that we've just talked about in the last 5 seconds.
Right.
It's like the crossover with Dom Toretto would actually be more entertaining than what they're probably going to give us, because it's going to be another asshole who's like, I want the dinosaurs for money, and it's going to be Scarlett Johansson saying, no, we won't stop you from getting the dinos money, and then they're going to clash, and the dinosaurs are going to eat people, and then the credits are going to roll, and it's going to be like it's the same fucking movie all over again. It's really to the point where I'm like, I'm sorry, I want to see the script before I buy a ticket, because if I'm going to go to see this movie, if I'm going to support it, if I'm going to review it and give it press, then I want to make sure it's going to be worthy. I mean, dude, I don't get a chance to go see every movie I want to go see. And if I'm going to take the time out of my day, out of my weekend or whatever, and spend my money, I really want it to be a good movie. I know that some movies aren't going to be as good as I want them to be. Some movies disappoint. That happens. But there's a certain level of expectation when it comes to Jurassic Park, when it comes to this franchise, and the last several movies have not really met them. And I actually kind of liked the last Jurassic World movie when Sam Neill and all of them came back. I actually thought that was kind of a cool movie. It wasn't a great movie, certainly not as good as the original, but I still thought it was pretty good. So you had something you could have worked with in that movie, maybe found some way to connect those two without bringing anybody back. And all they did was they just mentioned that this guy worked under Alan Grant at some point. And okay, well, there's your name drop. Okay, now everybody can like this movie because we name dropped Alan Grant. I'm like, well, yeah, but your shit still sucks. Your plot's still thin.
Y'all know where I stand on the Jurassic Park franchise. I love the first one, and ever since then, I haven't really cared about any of the others. To be honest with you, I remember very minimal from any of them because they just didn't leave an impression on me. That being said, I think I have a pretty fair eye on this. This one was better than I think this one is as good as the first Chris Pratt one, and better than any of the rest. Like, it's middle of the pack. It didn't do anything outstanding. Like, oh my god, that was great. But it was a summer popcorn flick that sold a bukus of merchandise, popcorn buckets, and movie tickets. And that's why you'll get another one. And it's, I don't know how much I paid Scarlett Johansson, but I'm pretty sure she got a hefty payday for it. It's just, I think this is a creatively dead franchise that has pigeonholed themselves into a corner that good luck getting your way out of, because if humanity doesn't care, why do I? So,
yeah, really.
Figure it out.
But let's go ahead and get into some trivia now, because I need to get this wrapped up because I've got another early day tomorrow. Let's see. I don't know if you guys noticed this one or not, but I don't have a picture of it. But the school bus in the New York City scene early in the film says Crichton Middle School painted on the side. This is a reference, obviously, to the late Michael Crichton, who was the author of the Jurassic Park novel that spawned this franchise.
I saw that. I figured that was the Stan Lee moment.
I should have pulled this up instead. It would have matched better. But yeah, there were a couple of nice visual cues in this movie that made me kind of. It gave me a little taste of nostalgia. Pulled at the old heartstrings for the original films. But ultimately, yeah, a little bit of casting news. They tried to make him happen. Glenn Powell actually turned down the role.
My boy, they could have had Glenn Powell. Oh, now I hate this movie because it didn't happen.
They offered it to him and he turned it down. He said he didn't feel he could add anything to the film, but went on to praise the script and expressed his love for the franchise.
No, I would have actually liked to see him in that. That would have been a
Glenn Powell. Even I can forgive him, even being from that cursed city of Austin, Texas. He's still a Texan. He's one of ours. Make Glenn Powell a thing. Make him happen. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. So it's all good.
one of the things that another casting choice that could have happened, the character of Zora, played so wonderfully by Scarlett Johansson, that could have been either Jennifer Lawrence or Amanda Seyfried. They actually turned down the role of Zora Bennett in this film.
Oh, I think if Jennifer Lawrence would have been in it, I would not have gone.
I'm not surprised Jennifer Lawrence turned it down. I am kind of surprised Amanda Seyfried turned it down, because getting into a big blockbuster franchise like this would have been huge for her career. Less so for Jennifer Lawrence, because she's done the franchise thing before. She's probably a little burned out on it. So I'm not entirely shocked. I'm not entirely shocked. I'm not entirely shocked that she turned it down, but whatever.
I would have been fine. Well, they're all three good actresses, but Scarlett Johansson by far is the biggest star, biggest name, just from the Avengers stuff. Like, I can't think of anything Scarlett Johansson's done besides Avengers movies, to be honest with you. But she's definitely the biggest star. But Amanda Seyfried or Jennifer Lawrence, they're all equally hot. I would have been fine with anything, but whatever.
Well, Scarlett Johansson's been in a lot of stuff. I mean,
I can't think of anything besides Avengers movies, to be honest with
you. Let me try to find her.
I'm trying to think, because, obviously she started in Iron Man 2. That was her first appearance. I don't think she wasn't in one.
She did actually start very, very young. She was a child star. What was she in? She was in. She had minor roles in Home Alone 3, The Horse Whisperer.
Never saw Home Alone 3.
It was all right. It wasn't great. Let's see. The Man Who Wasn't There wasn't a bad movie. This is her younger days. Ghost World, she was in that. Let's see. Eight-Legged Freak, she was in that. You'd get a kick out of that one.
I've seen Eight-Legged Freaks, but I don't remember her. I have to go back and see that. It's been years. Probably 20 years since I've seen that movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I had. They don't have like a full-on biography for her, which is weird. Let's see. What else has she been in? The Perfect Score. A love song for Bobby Long. I saw that one. Let's see. Scrolling through some of this stuff. Kid Neptune, the Ren and Stimpy show. She did some voice up in that. Let's see. Collaborations. So she's in some Woody Allen stuff. She was in that Woody Allen movie called Match Point in the early 2000s. Let's see. The Island, that Bay film with Ewan McGregor. That was one of her breakout roles. Let's see. She actually was with Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Let's see. She was in the Black Dahlia movie. I think she actually played the girl that was the murder victim in that, as I recall.
Oh, okay. I've seen her in that one. Yeah, that was. Yeah. Okay.
She was in the Prestige, that movie about the magicians, the Christopher Nolan movie about the magicians. That's actually a really good movie.
I remember that one.
The Nanny Diaries, I never saw. The Other Boleyn Girl, I never saw. Kind of a chick flick. So she's done a lot of different things. It's just that's all anybody knows her for is the Marvel stuff.
Well, but, when did Iron Man 2 come out? That was what, 2010. So for the last 15 years, she's been making Marvel movies. Now she's not doing it anymore, as far as we know. But yeah, I think it's pretty fair to say she owes a lot of her big paydays to Marvel going forward. Her starring, but
she was in that one movie. What the hell is that sci-fi thing? What the hell is she was in?
Oh, she was in a movie recently where she played a robot, where she got naked. What was that movie? I can't remember the name of it.
Marvel. She was in that Taika Waititi movie, Jojo Rabbit, which I never watched because I can't justify supporting a film that makes Hitler a sympathetic character. That's just a little too much for me.
There was one where she played a robot recently. I forget what it was. I don't know.
And she's also tried to be a singer, apparently, which was news to me. But so she's been around. She's been around. Let's see. What do I have next? Oh, you'll get a kick out of this one, Tex. Let's see. Jonathan Bailey's character is named Dr. Henry Loomis. Does that name ring a bell for you?
Yeah, Dr. Loomis, Halloween fame, of course. Yeah,
he was named Henry Loomis in tribute to Dr. Samuel Loomis, Donald Pleasant's character in the Halloween franchise.
I shot him 6 times. The devil's eyes. Yeah. Oh,
I shot the dinosaur 6 times and he didn't die.
I tried to treat him for 8 years and kept him locked up for another 7 because I knew what was behind that child's eyes. The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. God, we need to do Halloween, all of them. Let's just run through them. I'm ready to go right now. I'm so prepared.
He's like,
Come on.
I've already got binders and binders full of notes on those movies.
Use my knowledge. I beg of you. Please, let's go. I'm so down. My God.
See, more trivia. Actually, I grabbed this one for Jeremy. I think I get a kick out of it, but I'm sure you will too, Brady. Early on, Jonathan Bailey was wearing the same color combo Dr. Grant wore in the first Jurassic film, a blue button-up shirt and khakis. He later also makes a reference to having worked under Dr. Grant.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if you caught that or not. I didn't catch it. I would have to go back and watch the film again to see if it's true.
Oh, that's what they do in the next movie. They use DNA, dinosaur DNA, to bring Hammond back to life, but he's a dino version.
Ooh.
There's your next Jurassic Park movie.
They clone Hammond.
That's what I'm saying. He's Hammond, but with raptor hands and a tail. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be strange. It would be terrible.
Why not?
It would be terrible, but it'd be strange.
They jumped the shark in this franchise a long time ago with Chris Pratt clicking at dinosaurs and training them and whatever. Why not at this point? Yeah, they jumped the mosasaur like 5 movies ago. So why not?
We could have had a different director. David Leitch was actually in talks to direct the film, but eventually turned it down because of creative differences with Universal. I'm not entirely surprised. David Leitch would have been interesting.
I got a feeling if you're directing one of these movies, is probably like directing a Marvel film. You probably don't get much leeway as a director. That's why you're not going to see like a Christopher Nolan come in and do this. He's probably just handed a script and said, "Here, do this." I would imagine with a big tentpole kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do have to kind of make your friends carefully in Hollywood because you want to get the opportunities. That's why you got to eat a little bit of shit at first. Just so somebody like Steven Spielberg will be like, okay, you've done your part. I'm going to go ahead and push this script to you. Maybe help you get some funding. And it kind of worked for J.J. Abrams, I guess. So
the only reason Christopher Nolan did Batman was because of what Warner Brothers had done with him with Schumacher Batman, and he was basically given creative freedom to do whatever he wanted. That's why we got Batman Begins. You're not going to get. Go ahead.
Well, at that point, he was already a pretty established director, so I think he was
right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
I want creative control, and they really wanted that Batman franchise to be huge, so they needed to not take any chances on an unproven director.
Right. Well, but with stuff like this, Gareth Edwards was a name. He's done the MonsterVerse movies. He's done some big stuff. So, like Gamer was talking about earlier, it's a natural move to go to dinosaurs next because. You could put any of these creatures in with King Kong and Godzilla, and they fit perfectly together. Realistically, there's not much difference. I could see, King Kong in the background while the Mosasaur swims by him or something. That would be a cool shot or something. But it makes sense for him to direct this. But yeah, the director doesn't get a lot of leeway with a franchise like this.
Yeah. Northern DC in the chat says, "Damn, I knew I was going to miss the start of this. Hopefully, I missed you guys burying the shit out of this movie. I tried so hard to like it going in.
we've almost thrown the shovel in on this fresh body. Don't worry, just go back from the beginning and watch it.
I think that we've given it a fair assessment. There are some things that we've liked.
We've been fair, but
I think it was
to be fair, it kind of sucks.
I mean, good movie overall, but we've got our issues with it.
It's a fun movie, not a good movie. That's the difference.
True. Let's see. Rupert Friend was actually considered to play the role of Duncan Kincaid in early stages, and Nicholas Hoult was considered to play Martin Krebs in early stages of the movie. Nicholas Hoult would have been cool. It would have been interesting to see him play a bad guy in back-to-back movies that came out.
He's playing old Lex Luthor in this upcoming super woke movie that we're about to get this week. We'll see how that goes down.
I kind of like this dude as a bad guy, though. I kind of like Rupert Friend. Because at first he's kind of ambiguous as to what his intentions are, because he didn't carry himself, and credit to his performance, he didn't carry himself like that suave, like we know you're the bad guy the moment you show up on screen kind of character. It's like he just goes to her and says, hey, look, we want to do this, we can do these great things. So you're almost kind of on his side at first, but you really can't shake the fact that he really is just another pencil pushing dickhead who's looking at the bottom line more than anything else. And that just kind of, I like the way he kind of outwardly shows that more and more as the film goes on, even though I'm tired of just having this kind of character. His performance wasn't bad. The fact that he had the way the character written sucked.
No, he performed it well, but his character does a complete 180 once they're on the boat and, the girl goes to call for Mayday and he goes to stop her. That's when he stops being the guy that knows he just got shook down for twice the money for this job to being corporate bad guy of, I'm going to make, $1 trillion or whatever. That's the scene in this movie where he does a tonal shift. And I mean, the actor did well. I liked what he did. I thought, even though there were a couple things I would have changed. Well, there was many things I would have changed, but he was one of the bright spots of this, spectacle of it.
I don't know if you noticed this, Brady, considering that you have probably seen every one of these movies about 200 times more than most people. But when I read this, I had to think about it for a minute, and I'm like, yeah, this is probably pretty right. Zora is the first on-screen human to brutally kill a dinosaur with a firearm.
Yes. First one we ever got was one of the raptors in Jurassic World getting blown up by a rocket launcher. This would be the second human dinosaur kill we've ever had.
Wow. Well, technically, they're not even okay. Do you count these as dinosaurs at this point? They're mutant DNA monsters.
Big flying.
You know what I
mean? Yeah, I do. I mean,
I don't consider the D-Rex a dinosaur. I just can't.
No, it's a mix of a rancor and a xenomorph and a mush pile at the back end with two little arms in the middle that look like they don't even work. Why are those things even there? I don't know. I hate the D-Rex. It looked awful. I hated it. That's just me.
Yeah, it didn't look fantastic. Northern DC. I hope you go back and watch them to start. He said he was on his side.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you won't be. You won't be disappointed. It was we all, like Frank said, we equally and fairly judge this by its merits. There's not much here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty fair in this movie. But that's the end of the trivia. We're going to go ahead and start to wrap things up there. Let me get your guys' final thoughts. I'll go to you first, Tex, because I'm going to let Brooding Gamer go for a minute.
We're going to let him preach.
If he wants to. Give me your final thoughts on Jurassic World, again, Rebirth.
Again, Jurassic World regurgitation, some have called it. This is, it's like I said a minute ago, this is not a good movie, but it's a fun movie. It's like Jeremy mentioned earlier before, his computer decided he didn't need to be here anymore. This was a video game. This was like Jurassic Park, Arkham City, where you have to go do missions or something. And there's no consequences. Everything is laid out in front of you. Your next trial of, okay, we've got this one. Now we can see the other one in the sky. There's no consequences. You know which characters are going to die from the get-go. Plot armor's thick. The family suck. D-Rex is even worse. But Scarlett Johansson was hot, so, that was something. I don't know. Whatever.
Brooding Gamer, how about you? Give me your final thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth as the dinosaur expert.
It was a fun film. Like, I'm with Tex on this. It was a fun film. If you're just wanting to go to a movie to see dinosaurs, you're in for it. You're going to have a good time. If you're in for a super deep and impactful story, you might as well just go back and rewatch the first one.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's a fun dinosaur movie, and I feel like that's what we get out of pretty much every Jurassic movie we get, where it's like people hate Dominion, for example. People hate on Dominion as much as possible. But I love it because I got to see characters that I grew up with, and I got to see big scary dinosaurs doing big scary dinosaur things. That's what I look for in a movie. I don't go to a Jurassic World film and expect my entire life to be changed when I walk into that theater. definitely. I mean, it's definitely one I'll be buying day one for my DVD collection. But, and I mean, if they want to keep spitting out ugly looking hybrids, I guess I'll add them to my shelf. But it's a fun film, not a good story, and if they want to keep going, they really need to just. I don't know. I thought this was going to be different with them bringing back the original writer and for the first two films, and it didn't feel like that person was allowed to do anything because I know they changed a lot of his original script. So let him have more power. Let him have more control over the next one if they bring him back to write the next film, and hopefully, for the love of God, somehow end it.
Well, we know they're not going to end it. They want to squeeze another trilogy out of this thing, so we've got at least 2 more movies coming. Unless they make another movie and it bombs badly, which I don't see it happening. This is one of those movies that people are going to pay to go see.
Didn't The Lost World, the third one, bomb pretty bad? I don't remember.
The second one, no, I think it did the lowest of. I think it was like The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 did not do nearly as good as the first one because first movie did
they weren't nearly as good. No.
Yeah, the first movie did marketing, probably one of the best films to ever do marketing ever, because they showed movie trailers and not once did they show any dinosaur in the trailer. You saw the reactions, you heard them, but you never once saw a single animal, so you did not know what the hell you were going to get into when you went and saw the movie.
If you watched one trailer for this, you saw for this one.
Yeah, that is the problem. It's not even necessarily the movie, like, you know, the director and them themselves. It's kind of Universal's problem because they're the one that's like, we need you to show, this is what you're allowed to show, this is what you're not allowed to show. And they really are heavily wanting to push, you know, like, oh, by the way, dinosaurs swim now, T-Rex can swim now, T-Rex can swim now. And just so you know, that's all you're going to get. So if you know, like, people were asking me, well, what do you think of the movie? I was like, well, did you see any previews for it? Yeah. Well, then there you saw the movie. And that's, I think what the problem is that's what a lot of movies do these days is they show so much that, you know, they could have just ended it with showing the T-Rex going into the water and leave it at that. Leave it down and be like, oh, shit, it's actually getting in the water with them. Leave it at that. Don't show anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do for the future of this. I mean, look, this movie's fun. Go see it. It's worth seeing in the theaters. If you want a great Jurassic Park movie, it's not going to...
Go watch the first one.
Go watch the first one. The second one, I think, is good. The first Jurassic World movie, I think, is pretty good. The second one is a little...
The first Jurassic World's good.
The second Jurassic World's a bit of a drop-off. The third one... The third act's pretty solid. The rest of the movies is...
It's not even about dinosaurs. It's about crops and bugs. They bought and sold everybody with that thing.
Yeah, it missed a bit. Look, this movie's good. Go see it. It needs to be seen in theaters. What little dinosaur action you actually get in this movie, it needs to be seen on a big screen first. I don't know what they're going to do with it moving forward. I don't know what you can do with it that just doesn't look silly. But you should go see it. You should give every movie a watch. Whether you're going to like it or not like it, you're not going to know until you put your eyes on it and watch it for the whole length of the movie and figure it out for yourself. Because you might like a movie I hate, you might hate a movie I like. That's the fun. That's the fun of this whole thing. Let me ask you guys one quick question though. Every Jurassic World / Jurassic Park movie, every picture in this franchise has crossed the $1 billion mark. I'm going to be interested to see what the second week drop off in the box office is. Quick prediction, Tex. Do you think this movie makes $1 billion and keeps the streak going for the Jurassic?
Do we know what the box office is right now?
The opening day weekend as of Sunday was $318 million. But the second week drop off is going to be significant. They had the luxury of a 5-day weekend. It was
right.
So it actually opened on Wednesday. So they had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they had an unusually long opening weekend. But the second week drop off for blockbuster movies is pretty significant. I mean,
Right.
even Avengers Endgame, which is as good as it is, had something like a 68 or 70% drop off. Everybody blew their wad the first week going to see this movie. So the drop off's going to matter. But I mean, every Jurassic franchise film has made $1 billion. Now some of them have barely crossed a billion, but they've crossed $1 billion. Is this the movie that stops that streak, or do you see it getting by?
I don't think so. I think it'll get close. I'll say like 850-ish million. I think it kind of caps off because I think the majority of people that were going to go see this movie maybe already have over the 5-day weekend. And a word of mouth is going to be very negative to this film. Like I said, I think they'll be lucky to get 850 million, and that'll it'll still make them money, but no, it doesn't get $1 billion.
I don't know. Brooding Gamer, what do you think? Does this maintain the streak of $1 billion movies for the franchise?
I'm gonna have to agree with Tex on this one. I don't. I may eat my hat, but I don't see this one making it. I think it's gonna get really close. I say I'm probably around, like he said, maybe 9 million if we're lucky. But I'll be surprised if it does. I really will.
Yeah, the second week drop off, it's going to be very telling.
Well, I'll tell you exactly why it doesn't, because what's coming out this weekend is Superman. Superman's going to kill this thing in the box office.
True. Yeah, this whole month is just murderer's row. I mean, this is probably technically this is easily the biggest Superman July we've had since the pandemic.
Well, which makes no sense because there's nothing in August. I mean, yes, there's movies coming out in August, but there's no big ones. But Superman comes out this week, then it's 2 weeks to Fantastic Four, and I don't think that one's going to do very good either. But Superman's going to kill this movie's box office. Whatever money this movie will make, I think they've already done it at this point. Of course, it'll have stragglers, but it's not going to have. I could see this having like at minimum a 50% drop off from week one minimum.
Yeah, just the next few weeks. We got Superman coming out in just a couple of days. Let's see. We've got I Know What You Did Last Summer is coming out. That's going to draw a bit. It's not going to do very well, but it's going to draw a bit.
That's going to be big with the horror fans, but even then, that's not going to blow this out of the box office.
Well, now, I will say, because then Fantastic Four comes out, and then that movie Together comes out, getting a lot of buzz. I don't think
Together looks good, but that's a body horror film that's going to gross a lot of people out.
And then in August, the Naked Gun remake comes out, or requel, whatever the hell they're calling that. That's actually getting a lot of good press. Those are good trailers.
You didn't even mention the best.
Yeah.
You didn't even mention the best movie that's came out this summer, that being F1 with Brad Pitt. That movie rocked. That movie was awesome. I can't wait to see that one again. I think I would bet $1 that F1 ends up being the best movie that comes out summer 2025 over anything. But, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then getting into August, like I said, Naked Gun comes out August 1st. Freakier Friday, I don't think that movie's going to do as well as some people think. Shin Godzilla comes out in August. Nobody 2 comes out in August.
Weapons is another horror film that comes out August the 8th that I'm looking forward to. And there's another horror film coming out the same day, Strange Harvest. I'm going to see both of those that weekend. I'm looking forward to both Weapons and Strange Harvest.
And we wrap up August with the Toxic Avenger, baby. Let's go.
Yes. Hashtag everybody show the fuck up for Toxic or for the Toxic Avenger. My boy Toxic. Even though it's Peter Dinklage and I hate that guy. I love Trauma. I've seen so many Trauma films. It's stupid. I cannot wait. Please, Uncle Lloyd Kaufman, give me a Toxic Avenger head popcorn bucket. I'll buy 3. I promise you. Just sell that for me. I need that merchandise. So, thank you.
But yeah, there's it gets a little thin. There's a couple of big movies coming out later this year, but it gets a little thin after July.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
After August, it gets a little dry.
How did they not release Superman on July the 4th? That's another mistake. What is DC doing?
I don't.
That's so stupid.
You know what? You can't release everything on the same day. Things have to move. You have to see. You have to open
Right,
weekend where
but Superman's Americana though. Well, he used to be up until this version, but that would have been Superman would have killed this movie if they both came out on July.
I don't think it matters as much these days because basically every month is a good month to release your movie. I mean, because they opened Star Wars Force Awakens in February, which is usually where you dump your crap because it's too far from Oscar season. So that that between that and the first Deadpool opening in February, those two movies made February suddenly a relevant month for movie opening. So, I mean, I don't think it really matters as much anymore. But yeah, look, it came out in July. It's coming out around July 4th. July is right in the heart of the summer movie season. So as long as you release it in July, I think it's the same thing. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up now. Thanks to my co-host for being so awesome as usual. Starting with the Sheffield Lone Star State of Man Tex. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Well, if you want to see more of this lovely face and gorgeous voice, go over to Alex and the Garbage Man. Alex and myself he asked me to come over and cover for Nick yesterday. Nick was on vacation or whatever, and since Nick did Jaws with us, I felt to cover for our buddy over there. So go watch him over there, and keep your eyes on this channel Thursday afternoon. Well, whenever Frank gets to posting it, I will be seeing Superman Thursday afternoon, one of the first showings. So tune over here for an out of the theater reaction. No spoilers, of course, but yeah, make sure you're here to catch all that.
I thought heavily about getting tickets to go see it tonight because we have
the Amazon with the
Amazon Prime. We were able to. We would have been able to get tickets, but I was like,
I was going to, but
it was an important stream I wanted to be on, so I was like, I'll
with
wait.
My AMC Plus, they weren't offering that. I already pay for the AMC Plus. I can wait 2 days for a movie that's probably not going to be very good. So I will, like I said, Thursday I will post an out of the theater reaction. This time
I had nothing to gain by going to see it a couple days early.
This time I'll post it on Twitter as well, so we can send it up quicker. So pay attention to Frank's and my X accounts. I'll send it out that way too, so we can get word out.
But and to our good friend, the Dino Expert, the Brooding Gamer, where can the folks at home find you, sir?
You can, of course, find me on my channel, Brooding Gamer, where I am covering all things Jurassic, whether it's the films, the current video games coming up, or even the merchandise that comes along with it.
And anything
you don't like no dinosaurs, don't lie.
Is there anything going on in the Hatbox Ghost channel lately? I know you were working on that as well.
Doing a Disney channel when you live in Ohio is kind of difficult. So that's gonna kind of been on the back burner for a while now.
But go check out both channels. There is quality content on both those things. Northern DC says, I'm so worried about spoilers for Superman that I have to watch it opening day. I'm not. I would like Marvel spoilers. I try to avoid. Star Wars a little. I try to avoid. The rest of them I just don't care. I mean, even
spoilers don't bother me.
Even for Marvel, I've kind of given up trying to avoid spoilers. I just don't care anymore. I'm gonna go watch the movie.
More often than not, I end up going to dig for spoilers a week ahead of time because I'm a child that can't wait for his toys on Christmas morning. So I normally know ahead of time, but it still doesn't retract me from viewing something for the first time. So I don't care about spoilers. But I promise there will be zero spoilers in the out of the theater reaction that I do. So you don't have to worry.
As for me, you can find me here on Thursday if Jeremy can cure his computer of its allergy to the internet. Me and him will be doing Clerks 2. We're continuing our moves through the View Askew universe with another one of our absolute favorite films. Clerks 2 on Thursday. Me and Jeremy will be here to do that. And Brooding Gamer can join us if he wants, of course. I know Tex said he wants to do a couple of the View Askew universe movies with us. Obviously, we're going to do Tusk. I don't know if it's technically in the View Askew universe. I guess maybe it is. I don't know.
No, I'm down for Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and Tusk. Those I'm here for. The rest of them I don't.
But we'll continue our excursion through the View Askew universe on Tuesday with Clerks 2, and then obviously on Tuesday we'll be here to do Superman. Whatever it brings us, we're going to talk about it on Tuesday. So make sure you guys come back to check that out as well. I want to thank my co-host for being so awesome as usual. I want to thank all of you for being so awesome. as well and coming and hanging out with us. We very much appreciate it. We will see you guys back here on Thursday for Clerks. Till next time, adios. I mean, could have been worse, I guess. I mean, just, you know what? If you'd eaten the girl, we've talked a lot about killing the kids is okay now. Eat that little girl.
That would have been great.
At least eat that obnoxious boy that was there, the chick's boyfriend. I would have been happy.
They should have killed the boyfriend while he was taking a piss, have that rifle and just bite him in half. That would have saved the movie.
I don't know, whatever. So, well, we're going to write this. We're going to write some good shit. We're going to send it into Universal. We're going to write a Jurassic World movie that is actually going to be good. We're going to make this happen. We got Brooding Gamer here.
We can use gamers' dinosaur action figures to make a fan film. That's what we could.
We could do that. And we proof of concept is what I'm talking about. We'll make this
right. Happen. Yeah. That'd be sweet.
See you guys later.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.